Today let's talk about one thing that many people for some reason stubbornly do not want to understand. Freedom of speech and spreading lies are not the same thing. And what did Elon Musk say about it? But before we start, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who subscribes to my channel, likes, shares my videos, as well as to everyone who provides my channel with any material support. In his interview with Joe Rogan, Elon Musk said, "Freedom of speech is the foundation of democracy. That is why freedom of speech is enshrined in the First Amendment. As soon as you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy." Elon Musk hit the nail on the head. Without freedom of speech, the truth dies, the government hides, and elections turn into an illusion. History clearly shows that censorship is never maintained for good reasons. It always serves the interests of those in power. Damascus Twitter has proven how great information concealment works. They hid information about Hunter Biden's laptop, called the leak firm the lab disinformation, and turned public debate into a corporate service of truth. Without 10, we would still be cattle in an information slaughterhouse. A real question that should keep you awake. To any thinking person, this is what a dangerous truth the Democrats are trying to hide from us right now. Elon Musk noticed it in time. Democrats did not expect that someone would spend such crazy money to protect freedom and truth. I really think we were on the verge of disaster. If Kamala Harris had won in 2024, America would have plunged into such darkness that the Middle Ages would have seemed like a funny fairy tale to us. 10. Expanded freedom of speech, restored thousands of accounts blocked for political views. For example, Trump, journalists, many scientists made the algorithm open to ensure transparency, and added a community note for the context created by users instead of centralized censorship. This has expanded the discussion on topics such as politics and COVID-19, as well as on election and gender issues, which were previously subject to restrictions. I really believe that Elon Musk saved America. The situation with freedom of speech has been getting worse and worse from year to year. On the biggest platform in the world, there was practically nothing bad or negative to say about the Democratic Party. We were doomed. But there is one small detail that I want to draw your attention to. Freedom of speech is one of the most beautiful and most misunderstood concepts in the modern world. They like to pronounce it loudly, with pathos, as if it is a shield that automatically makes anyone who speaks right. But here's the problem. Freedom of speech is not an indulgence for lies. Tell me, have you noticed it too? Or am I the only one who thinks so? People in general have ceased to understand what freedom of speech is. Seriously, a person takes it, lies directly to the brazen, without evidence, without facts, just makes it up. And then when they start to press him for it, he immediately starts screaming, "Ah, I'm being deprived of my freedom of speech." What kind of freedom of speech? What are you talking about anyway? Freedom of speech is when you say your opinion, your opinion. I think. This is freedom of speech. But when you say it was, he did it, she is so and so, and this is actually a lie, this is no longer an opinion, this is a lie. And for some reason, these people stubbornly do not want to understand this. They want a simple scheme. If I have freedom of speech, then I can bear anything, and I will get nothing for it. No, guys, it doesn't work that way. Freedom of speech is the right to express one's opinion. I emphasize that an opinion means an interpretation, a view, a position. In other words, you can disagree, you can criticize, you can argue, you can even be harsh, even unpleasant. For example, as I do when I criticize the Democrats. But as soon as you start passing off lies as facts, this is no longer freedom of speech. This is called slander. Imagine a world where everyone can invent facts about other people with impunity, where reputation is destroyed not by evidence, but by fantasies, and where lies become an instrument of pressure, manipulation, and revenge. This is no longer freedom of speech, this is a weapon. And that is why there are boundaries in any mature system. Not to shut people up, but to protect the truth from forgery. Because a lie repeated 1,000 times begins to look like reality. The most ironic thing is that those who shout loudest about freedom of speech often demand freedom not to tell the truth, but freedom not to be responsible for lies. They don't need freedom of speech, they need freedom from responsibility. And these are two different things. They cannot understand in any way, or simply do not want to understand it, that freedom of speech is not permissiveness. You can say whatever you think. Yes, please, no one forbids you. But if you pass off a lie as a fact, be prepared to answer for it. Because otherwise it's not freedom, it's a mess, where not the one who is right, but the one who yells louder. And one more small, but very important point. The Second Amendment in the Constitution exists to protect the First Amendment. If you are disarmed, you no longer have the right to speak, gather, or resist tyranny. Armed people cannot be silenced. The founders knew this, so it won't be so easy to kill freedom of speech in America. And in Europe, everything freedom of speech has been covered with a copper basin. More recently, Ursula von der Horst said with her that she wants to control the truth by suppressing freedom of speech through censorship. She compared freedom of speech to a virus of disinformation and censorship to a vaccine. And look at what's happening in the UK. The unarmed population is being attacked, and the government punishes the British for expressing their indignation on social networks. And as if summing up everything that has been said, I want to say this: there is a clear understanding of what Elon Musk is, and what he stands for.